Sergei Rachmaninov stood 6 feet 6 inches tall. His hands could span a 13th, nearly 2 octaves, on the piano keyboard. It allowed him to play and write the kind of expansive works that marked the final heyday of Russian Romanticism. Join the CSO this season for several of his pivotal works. Rachmaninov was born in 1873 in Oneg, Russia, and as a teenager went to study with Nikolai Zverev, a strict disciplinarian who ran a kind of boot camp for young pianists. Pushed to his limits, Rachmaninov eventually left and entered the Moscow Conservatory, where he studied with pianist Alexander Siloty and composer Anton Arensky. He forged a distinctive style. But crisis followed with the disastrous 1897 premiere of Rachmaninoff's First Symphony. The conductor, Alexander Glazunov, may have been drunk. The young Rachmaninoff fled the auditorium, and critics were merciless. It triggered a writer's block that lasted some 3 years. It's claimed that Rachmaninoff regained his confidence to write orchestral music after seeking help from a hypnotherapist named Nikolai Dahl. The composer went on to write his second piano concerto in 1901 and his second symphony in 1907. He composed the symphony both in Dresden and his summer home in Ivanovka, where he'd taken his young family to escape the rat race of Moscow. After the world heard its brooding and voluptuous melodies, offers poured in for concerts and commissions. Rachmaninoff introduced his third piano concerto on his first American tour in 1909, having learned the piece on his voyage across the Atlantic. But with its legendary difficulties, other pianists stayed away, including its dedicatee, the great Joseph Hoffmann. The moody piece requires not just speed and stamina, but the ability to project the deep nostalgia for a lost Russia. With the Russian Revolution of 1917, Rachmaninoff emigrated to the U.S. and settled in Manhattan. But as he embarked on an exhausting touring schedule, his compositional well dried up for nearly a decade. The drought ended in 1927 with his fourth piano concerto, offering a portrait of a restless, exiled composer. In 1933, Rachmaninoff purchased a villa on Switzerland's Lake Lucerne, where he wrote the kaleidoscopic Rhapsody on a Theme of Paganini, an immediate success. It signaled a late career comeback that included the Third Symphony and, finally, his symphonic dances of 1940. This retrospective work bundles saxophone melodies, Russian church music motifs, and invigorating dance rhythms. Always a bit gloomy and fatalistic in character, Rachmaninoff spent his final years rueing the fact that he'd lost touch with the public and his homeland. He died of cancer in Beverly Hills in 1943, days shy of his 70th birthday. Afterwards, he was lionized for just a sliver of his catalog, while dismissed by scholars as a throwback. But with an influence that spans concert halls, pop music, and film, Sergei Rachmaninov is now regarded as one of the most complete musicians of the 20th century.